Jim Marlowe.
Present.
Brady Gentry.
Present.
Tim Anderson.
Present.
Today we have some interviews for two different positions. One is the 911 board interviews for this morning, and the afternoon session will be for the PPT board interviews. We want to go ahead and get these other water board appointments out of the way.
I prefer to wait.
Okay, all right. Wait, all right. First one we have for today is Jason Sheridan. Jason?
Yes.
You, I guess, Tim, if you.
Sure, Jason. Your name was given to me by DJ Stewart. Said that you might be interested in serving on this 911 board. And so today is just about getting some information, a little bit of background about you.
Okay.
And once again, this is kind of an informal type of interview process.
Okay.
These guys may or may not ask you some questions. I've got just a few questions to ask. And I guess probably maybe the first one is, could you tell us about your experiences in emergency services, what you do, where you work?
Sure. I currently work at Carterville Fire Department, assistant chief. I've worked there full-time since 2010 as a firefighter paramedic. Prior to that, I worked at Williamson County Fire Protection District, full-time for 3 years. I was on the department probably 6 or 7 total. Before that, I actually started in emergency services at 17 years old in Fairfield, where I grew up.
Wow, that's good.
So I've really been in fire ambulance service for over 20 years.
Seen a lot of stuff
A
on
little
it.
crazy to think about, but we do, in Carterville, where I work, we do 1,200 ambulance calls a year, 200 fire calls a year. We're pretty busy department for a small town.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of stuff over there.
Yeah. As a Williamson County appointee to a board like this, you would be representing the county interests as opposed to representing a particular town or city's interests. Is that something that you could live with?
Yeah, I mean, I have no desire to make anything specific to where I work in that area. My goal would be the whole county to make sure when somebody calls 911, the appropriate agency gets dispatched in a timely manner, and they have basically the equipment they need to do it with.
You're interviewing for an unexpired term. Sheriff Deputy Scott McCabe's spot on this board. And normally the terms are 3 years in length. Will that fit your schedule? Will that be something that you could fill out a complete term?
Yeah. The only thing that comes up is my rotating schedule. I work every 4 days. The mayor of Carterville, Brad Robinson, I'm pretty sure he sent something to DJ about putting my name in this board, and he's all for me being on the board,
Right.
and they would approve anything I needed to. If I had to take time off work for a few hours a week, or I'm sorry, a month, he would approve that. So it wouldn't be an issue making the meetings. And
My experience so far is that the meetings are not terribly long. They're usually an hour and a half. And I think they're the second Thursday of the month at about 9 o'clock in the morning. And I think typically they're held here in Marion at the police station. But the last one was at the fire station at the airport.
okay.
One thing that DJ wanted me to ask was and I haven't seen this yet, so once again, I was just appointed to this board back in January. Apparently, there might be state level meetings. Is that something that you might be able to attend as a board member?
I would think that would pretty much be the same answer as the previous one where, since the mayor's recommending me for this board also, I think he would approve any time I needed to take to do what I needed to with the board.
Okay, good. This might be a kind of an off-the-wall question, but using what you know about the board, what do you believe would be the most important thing that we should do in the community on this board? Do you have any ideas? And I know that's kind of an off-the-wall question.
I feel like, I feel like the PSAPs, the dispatchers, the facilities should have the most up-to-date equipment that the board could afford. I think they need the highest training levels that are out there. I feel like if somebody calls 911, they ought to get the best service. This is, to my knowledge, the biggest county in southern Illinois, or close to it, and I think we ought to have the best stuff and have the best services.
I agree. I agree.
Does that answer your question, some?
Yeah, that actually was a good answer. Either one of you guys have a question? I'm reading through mine right now.
Yeah, so what do you think you would bring to the board? I mean, what would be your strengths to bring to the board?
Medical is, I mean, my actual job at Carterville, at the fire department is, we're basically an ambulance service that has fire trucks.
Okay.
So, fire and medical knowledge, I've worked with DJ and William Barrett, with mapping and addresses and stuff since the consolidation 3 years ago, I think now. We've been working on that together since before that started. So, hopefully I don't know for sure all the board members that are on the 911 board, but I think a paramedic and a medical standpoint may be a different viewpoint than some other people might have.
Yeah, we have fire, we have police. I'm not sure if we have anybody who medical background.
That's the void. That's the ones we're needing.
I'm sorry, Greg.
That's the ones we're needing. There's your void.
Yeah.
There's ambulance personnel. I'll just say this, that I was a firefighter in ambulance EMTI over Carterville for 15 years. And we cover a big area from Spillway Road all the way to the airport. And back then we did 1,000 calls, and I probably did the majority of them. So we've got a big territory, and the 911 has overlooked that area for a long time for board members, so I'd say 15, 16, 20 years. And I think it's time that we have a reputation for the West Side, and I think their experience is good. But the person that brings the name to the board is the chairman, so, but I think that Carter's no plug to the snuff for quite a while, and it's probably time for the West Side has a voice in it.
Do you have any experience with like financial or legal document or issues like that?
I've been on our pension board since 2011. When Carterville went over 5,000 people in the 2010 census, we had to change from IMRF to Downstate Firefighter Pension Fund. So I've been appointed to that board since it started, since we were forced into it. So
So keep track of the pensions and everything like that.
Yeah.
You are looking at financial documents and those things.
Got any questions for us or anything like that?
Yeah.
Or actually, more for Tim, because he's on that board.
Now, keeping in mind that I've been on the board now for 3 months, or 4 months. I tell you, it's a good board to serve on. They run a tight ship, the meetings are quick, and Jeremy and DJ are very well prepared when they show up to the meeting to run a quick meeting.
I worked with Jeremy, when he got hired at Williamson County Fire. I was working there. So Jeremy and I have been, we've been working together for a long time. And like I said, DJ and I have worked together, with mapping and addresses and some other integration with the PSAPs into local departments, getting information on calls and things like that. So I've got a pretty good relationship with those two guys to start out with. That's all I really know. He's all for the board members there, for those two.
So DJ wanted me to ask, what are your hobbies and do you volunteer anywhere?
I never sit still.
In your free time?
In my free time, I do a little bit of everything. I do woodworking, I do yard work. I actually work, on my days off, I work for Cargo. I've been remodeling dugouts at the baseball diamond on James Street Park. I have been, I do community events all the time. They've got a kind of band thing at Cannon Park every Thursday. I volunteer out there. I'm always doing something, and it's typically something to do with Carter Bell. So it seems like. So.
I've exhausted my questions. Do you have anything you'd like to ask us?
I can't think of anything in particular at the moment.
Well, I hope it was painless.
It was painless.
Just a quick, like I said, just a quick come over and let's get to know each other a little bit. And we have two more people to ask the same questions to after this.
Okay.
And then I think on next Wednesday, we'll make an appointment.
Okay.
On next Wednesday. Brent, have you got anything else?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very
Appreciate you
much.
coming in. Have a good night.
See you.
Just go
Oh.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
What we ought to do is put like a table right there. Seems like kind of a lonely spot sitting in that chair, you know? Need a spotlight on them, you know? I don't know if the table would make it more ridiculous.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a tough chair to be in.
it is.
Next man come in, sit over there.
Gentlemen, we have three good candidates, and to be fair, I think it's important to at least them come in and talk to us.
Sure.
Thank God. I didn't know who this guy was.
Well, I'm over there too, and I didn't know him, but I've only been over there for a short time.
Brent, you say you did know him?
I do not know him. I've never seen him before.
Jason?
This board over here just came in, shared.
Yeah.
I have no idea who he was. I've never seen him before. Matter of fact, the only one that I name I recognize is the one that works over here. That's the only one I recognize him. There is the third one. The boy's got a lot of experience, I'll say that. He's in a little bit of everything. Who's, where is Mike Wallace? Where's he from?
I don't know.
I don't even know where Alex is from, or Ronnie's from. You know, where Alex is from.
Do you need to put this on pause or just keep it on? You won't be in about 5 minutes of this.
Yeah.
No, actually, about 15 minutes.
Just sitting there.
You know, I debated about setting him up on 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I guess I should have.
I figured there's not many questions asked, it's
Yeah, I should have done on 15, my mistake.
That's okay. I mean, we can always pause it.
You never know, sometimes you get a talk.
We could always pause it to do a restroom break, I'm always ready for that. How much tea?
You can't pause the live stream, so it's still
Yeah,
on.
live stream's still going on this one.
Well, I'm still gonna take that.
No, that's fine, go back. Was it too strong?
Nope. it's good.
Okay.
So how did Kelly get, you know how Kelly got a truckload of food?
The state gave it to her.
Yeah, something from the state came down, yeah. Probably.
That's
I think
impressive.
Brent knows. But she told me the state.
Who said that?
Bring it down.
Well, that was nice. I don't know how many people she helped, but a bunch.
A lot.
Yeah,
Because all the homeless shelters and stuff came and got it too.
excellent.
I think she said she had some
I think
food
they're-
pantries from Alexander County even come up and
There
grab
was
some
another
food.
truckload.
Well, yeah, I think that she's also, this is this like central distribution
Yeah.
maybe, so for some other counties, they would come here and get it.
And she still has the animal food coming in also. And did you happen to get that email I sent you this morning?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I guess I got a question for you. I noticed when you were asking him questions, you said that this is for an unexpired term. A normal term is normally 3 years. How long will this appointment last for before a need for reappointment?
That's a good question. I don't know what Scott's term was. Let me,
Stephanie doing the rest of this week?
She'll be back Tuesday.
Tim
Brent might know, how long are these terms for? 911, do you know?
beats me. I never, I was looking to do this thing, I have no idea. Tammy said something about next Wednesday, it's just like, what is next Wednesday? I don't mind about Wednesday.
I think we've got a meeting set up for next Wednesday, I thought.
No, it's Tuesday,
Nothing I'm aware of.
Was it Tuesday?
Yeah, there's a meeting on Tuesday.
because I'm posting the agenda Friday.
What's the meeting for Tuesday?
Beats me. I've got the agenda on my computer.
Yeah.
Let me go look.
I haven't been asked about it,
No, I thought it was it the 27th or 28th?
Right time. Thanks. Yeah. Hold over here.
but
We have an insurance meeting.
I know that if there is a Tuesday meeting, I won't be here.
I don't know about it, so. But
Brent, there's an insurance meeting on Tuesday.
Oh, that's.
Oh, it's that
ICRMT.
claim
Yeah, that's
review.
ICRMT.
That's what it is.
Okay, so what's on Wednesday?
Nothing, I guess, but on Tuesday is that ICRMT meeting with,
The Kyle Show?
Couch.
Yeah.
What time's that one?
She went to get the agenda.
10:30 or something? I could,
You're just explaining from what you've chosen to do that same day.
I don't think we didn't have any action on this today, did we?
Well, we just had 4 interviews on there. I don't know why you couldn't. It was 4 interviews.
I thought Jim said he wanted to do it today. We needed to do it.
could do, yeah.
I think board interviews were covered.
You what?
Board interviews were covered.
Covered it.
We covered it.
He did it today.
What time you say the thing was on Tuesday?
10 on Tuesday.
She went to get the agenda to see. Just know what we gotta do.
We also probably need to talk about somewhere in the break about what we're going with the Celeste situation.
Yeah, she came, talk to me today.
That's something we need to.
It's our claim meeting Tuesday.
Yeah.
Our workers' comp
What
claim
time is
meeting.
that?
What time is it?
10,
10 o'clock.
yeah, because I'll be in here for it.
Okay.
And then Williamson County Fire Protection's on the agenda.
Appointment meeting on Wednesday next week.
If anybody can make it, I just thought we could do that, or if we want, we could make it.
William County Fire Protection's on.
It's on
So
there.
he's gonna be replaced. This position is for Scott Jake.
Yeah.
Okay. His expiration is January 1st of 22.
Okay, so they'll have the rest of this year and
Mhm.
next year.
Yeah, okay. No, just.
Just the remainder of this year.
The remainder of this year.
Oh, is it January 1st?
Yeah, January 1st of 22, that's what the term goes.
8 months or 9 months, 7 months of this year, whatever it is.
What do you think about next Wednesday appointment?
I think you can do the agenda, you can do it today.
I haven't posted the agenda for Tuesday, if you want to put it on there.
I mean, you said 4 interviews, you can do it today.
Well, yeah, that's
Be done with it.
Doesn't matter to me. That way we wouldn't have to meet next week.
I mean, they get qualified then, it's done, 4 interviews, it's just 4 interviews.
Yeah, you could make a decision. Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, let's do it today.
What do we, Celeste deal with, what,
Yeah, I don't know. She said she's gonna be retiring. But,
in June?
in June, yeah. So, she said she would like to keep her insurance until, I'll have to let her explain.
Until that one Kansas asked her when it ends, she said it's up to 2 years, but she said it could be done in 12, 6 months, years, it's kind of a scale. I don't want,
I told her-
she'll have to explain it.
Yeah, I said, I don't have a problem as long as we don't set a precedent here with something, for other employees, that may want the same thing. So as long as we're okay on that.
She'll just have to explain it.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard it, but I don't really understand all of it, so.
I'll let her explain.
Let me see. Stop people standing out in the hallway and don't know where to go. What's it from?
Mike
She
Lewis?
said she's retiring in June.
Yeah.
But she said what she
No,
wanted.
she said, it was something about keeping her health insurance. Did she talk to you about it?
Mhm.
Now, she assumed that we're not gonna hire anybody to replace her. We'll have to discuss that. Like I said, told her, just gave her, whatever I told her was just my opinion, so not yet, not your ability for words.
I asked her if there was a description, a job description, if she knew what it was. She said she did everything.
She likes transfer of everyone in Williamson County.
She does, you're right, she does a lot of work.
It's on.
Yeah.
No one's out there in the hallway.
No, I think it's the same out there.
I haven't heard the elevator.
No, I don't recall, I've ever been in that elevator, with it, almost ever been in it.
I take
Not
you
like
on.
I'll get in and get stuck.
Yeah.
Andrew, no court today?
No, none today. Well, I mean, I'm the backup for John Furry over there for traffic, but I think it was pretty light. I will, unfortunately, and I'll send out an email. I won't be at next Tuesday's meeting. The case that was going to go in Union County last week has been reset to next Tuesday. So I'll be in Union County Tuesday, and if you do decide to hold a meeting Wednesday, likely I'll be unavailable Wednesday also.
Okay.
But what I will do is, I'll let Brandon know, and so that either if he wants to appear for the meeting Tuesday, he can, or if he wants to send somebody.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, the Tuesday meeting, honestly, probably
It's,
won't interest you at all, so.
it's a claims review, basically, it's an FYI for all of us is all. What's still outstanding for our work comp and liability.
Yeah.
You may be dozing off on that one anyway.
Well, I'd originally planned it, it was on my calendar to be here for it, but.
Yeah. Now that, I'm gonna ask you, and I think we may have talked about this, I think we need to go into executive session on that one. If the entire board is gonna be there, we gotta be in an open meeting to start. But we're talking about open claims with employee names and what's going on, probably needs to be an executive session.
Yeah,
You do have to be. Commission name names.
Not only does it qualify for executive session, but it probably should be an
I think
executive session.
we
So we'll need the ruling to go into it.
did that before. Talking about names better. Duck out.
There were times there was only one commissioner that did it, so we just met in a little boardroom.
Yeah. And with just one commissioner, it wouldn't.
And I would-
fall
I-
under OMA.
As long as there's information, I don't care if there's one commissioner in there or what, but as long as we get the information, you kind of know.
I've got the information if you want it.
I think they sent it to all of us.
I didn't get it, but I can print it out.
Okay.
I can send it to you so you can look at it since you won't be here.
Appreciate it.
I like your black and that's pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
Kind
Want
of,
to see if it-
Yeah,
kind of a cheery background.
yeah, I like it. And if you, hold your thumb on it, it moves.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like an angel coming down.
there's something.
Is that an Andrew?
It's, Apple. I've had it forever. I think it's a 7. But it's paid off, so I'm fine with it. I don't wanna,
I don't want to change this fancy stuff they got now, sliding and no buttons and all that.
I wouldn't mind changing to that, but I just don't like the $1,100 price tag that comes with it. Can't do that. You know, they break it over, they put it on your bill for 2 or 3 years, but, you know, I like not
Still
having 4
paying.
years. Yeah, absolutely, it's still coming, it's still paying it.
How big it is, this is the plus, and I think it's like ginormous.
I heard the elevator, but went up to the third
Yeah,
floor.
I did too.
Well, this person, so far I'm not totally impressed, at 10:30, they're 10:29. What's the old rule of thumb, it should be at least a minimum of 10 minutes early.
For an
No.
interview.
For an
Then you
interview.
have day off today?
I'm always early
Yeah,
for
she took
everything.
off, till Monday.
No, Tuesday, she'll be back
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So
She's-
Tuesday.
Yeah, she'll be gone Monday also.
More than my share of times,
We
I'm
got ball games again.
cutting it close, but.
I'm not sure, I think she is the most.
Mississippi, I think you're going.
Are they?
I think over her say Mississippi.
Yeah,
Susan sent me a text that it was administrative assistance day today.
it is.
Well, tell her she missed it.
Teachers Day.
Tell her she missed it.
She'd have been here.
Got a big party for her here.
Yeah, she'd have been here. So
Tell UPS, take the gift bag.
Right, cake was great.
The shame you weren't here.
Right.
We had a retirement party for one guy here one time, and he couldn't make it. He had a
Oh.
party anyway.
So thank you anyway. but-
I'll never forget that. We had everything. Except the guest of honor.
Quick celebration my dad. Good to see you. Well, do we want to call Alfred and tell him to play it?
Well, I still got,
He may be over there.
Huh?
Door.
Okay,
Well, I think we got 1 minute.
1 minute.
that clock's off.
Snooze, you lose. Catch the next train.
I should. Give me another 15 minutes.
I think so, they was telling me they got her into some program up there at WashU Medical.
Kind of whole lot of deal.
Yeah, well, he told
So
me
young.
he's out of town today and tomorrow. I don't know if it's because of that or not, he didn't say. He could have something else going on.
I figured it. That's rugby for him. St. Louis. If there's any questions, you can get me out of here. Put that one.
Anything can happen to anybody, I understand that, but, I mean, you know, they're both young. you know,
I'm trying to.
Just shocking.
I might have signed it for first. Oh, yeah. I was thinking the attorney.
Yeah, I was.
No, Doug does it. Yeah, he makes every one of those. Yeah,
I thought that was the attorney.
that's right. Aaron has a new police chief.
Good.
If I hear the elevator, yeah.
Okay, Doug Morris. I think Quinn retired. He retired earlier this year, didn't
Like, what else he got? He worked like at a school or something, or at a security guard at a school?
I don't know.
I think that's go out there on Heron Road, I think I saw him one day at the front. I tell you, the person that wants on board to show up, the one or too bad, do they? You were what, 10 minutes late, you're gonna be right into it, right?
I wonder if,
It's closer to 15, but
I didn't know if he called and left a message on Stephanie's phone in there or something.
He had my number, I didn't assume that he was gonna leave a message.
Called you.
I would have called me.
Yeah, Stephanie didn't set up any of these, did she?
Or something, in case there was something like car trouble or.
Which was,
insurance.
they had my cell phone.
I don't know.
right there.
Yeah.
Found him. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Mike.
Hello, Mike.
Hi, where did you get me?
Please,
anywhere.
I brought a copy of my resume, if you guys would like to have a copy.
Yeah, sure.
I just thought it'd be beneficial to,
Passing around.
thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. Mike, I'm Jim Marlowe. This is Brent Gentry, Commissioner Gentry. This is Commissioner Atkinson. We're just here to, just kind of ask you a few questions about the 911 board. I know Tim is on the 911 board. I'll let him, although he's been on there just a few months.
Just a few months, yeah.
I'll let him start this off. It's very informal, which is, you know.
So like I said the other day, Mike, when we talked
Yeah.
on the phone the other day, this is just a very informal, kind of a get to know you type of an interview platform that we have here. And so we're gonna ask just a few questions, and just whatever answers, you know, will work. These guys will also ask you probably a couple of questions. So you're on this board, if you serve on this board, you're gonna be a Williamson County appointee to the board. And what town do you happen to live in?
I live in Marion.
You live in
Wild
Marion?
Rose Lane.
Okay. So the first question would be, could you represent the interest of the entire county, not just one town?
That's right.
Because we're gonna be making decisions for the entire county, but there are people that live in a particular town that have been appointed from that town. And their interest obviously lay with that town. And could you tell us some of your experiences as emergency worker? What do you do?
It's pretty extensive. I started in EMS in 1998. I started out as a dispatcher for a small private service up in Marion County. Kind of loved the ambulance business. Then got my EMT license, got my EMT in 1999. Eventually went on and became a paramedic by 2002. Served as a paramedic since 2002. I've done both private ambulance and also hospital-based EMS and also emergency room, as well as working in leadership within Eden's Health System. Overseeing their operations here in Illinois. I'm a licensed Illinois EMS instructor in Lake College. I've been there since 2008. Teach a variety of EMS-related courses from cardiology to trauma to pediatrics. Been around EMS a long time, I guess, for my age anyways.
Age kind of creeps up on you.
It does, it sneaks up on you. You look back and you're like, where did the time go?
So this spot that you're interviewing for is an unexpired term of Sheriff's Deputy Scott McCabe. And the normal terms are 3 years in length. And how does that fit with whatever other responsibilities you might have? Is that something that you could actually serve in full term? Do you anticipate being able to serve?
Absolutely. I don't anticipate leaving Williamson County at any point in the future. I've been here since 2016 and kind of fell in love with the area. Came here, I was in Cape Girardeau for a short time, a very brief time. Ended up here and I just love the area. I can see myself in Eden. My job as captain with United, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm pretty comfortable with my job. I love what I do. I can't ever see much change.
So there once again, I'm new to this board, so I've not seen this yet, but, apparently there may be state level meetings if you were, I'm assuming if you're an officer on this 911 board. Would you be able to represent the interests of the board if you were nominated to go to those meetings?
Absolutely. I basically make my own schedule. So I could schedule myself free for that time and attend the information.
We do that, Tim. And it's the second.
The 911 board meets the second Thursday of the month.
Okay.
And the meetings are typically an hour, hour and a half long. And Jeremy Norris is the chairman of the board, and DJ Stewart is the administrator. Do you know either one of those
I
guys?
know DJ quite well. We did a lot of interaction through my employment. Worked very well.
Okay. You guys got any questions?
Are you familiar with what the purpose of the board is, what it does?
And I've been kind of pondering that, and I kind of see it as the goal to be the oversight and provision of 911 within the county to ensure the safety of the citizens. That's kind of how I envision it. I don't know how accurate that is based on the actual mission statement, but
I would think that'd be pretty close to it, basically. Making sure that equipment works good, making sure that communications are adequate. They're lacking areas that they need to do work on to make sure that communications are provided throughout the county. Now, do you have experience with like either from being on other boards? Are you on other boards?
no, I've never been on board before.
Okay.
I sit on a couple of oversight committees through Good Samaritan EMS system and a oversight board around my college for the EMS program, but nothing municipal like this.
Does that give you any experience in like working with financial and legal documents?
I have, through my previous employment, I've got quite a bit of experience with that.
So what would be your focus if you're on that board? What would be your main focus? What would you bring to that?
I definitely bring the viewpoint of EMS to the board through my experience with that. And possibly a different viewpoint. I mean, I'm new to the area down here. I have a new set of eyes. That might be beneficial. I've only been here for 3 years. Board. This is board.
Anything else? Oh, great.
Brett, yeah, you have an listening question. Do you have any questions, Ted? And and like I said, DJ put this on the list. He wanted me to ask, what are your hobbies, or do you volunteer anywhere?
I don't volunteer anywhere other than teaching some community-based CPR classes and stuff, but my main hobby, like my passion in life, is genealogy. I do DNA-based genealogy, engraving traditional paper records investigation along with modern DNA technology. I've been doing that since '99 in the future. If you ever want to do your family history, I'm the guy to talk to.
My aunt's into that. She, when the internet, she's quite a bit older, but when the internet came out, she learned how to do computers just so she could do genealogy. And she's traced us all back to no telling when.
It's a different piece. Like putting together a big puzzle and there's always another piece that's missing.
Find out that you're not her nephew.
Yeah, well, she doesn't have any money.
Look under the tree and find out you're the sap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I tell you what, that's about, like I said, this was just
That's
a
pretty cool,
very
yeah.
informal, just to kind of get to know you type of a situation. And just to give you a chance. Like I told you in the phone call, we had a couple other folks interested in serving on this board. And so we wanted to give it a fair opportunity, everybody to come in and meet us and us to meet you. So do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't think so. Again, I appreciate the opportunity. It's a learning experience and it's part of the growth. I like it.
And now's your time, if you can contact us.
We have
a hand up down here.
My name's Andrew Purcell. I'm with the state's attorney's office. I'm an assistant state's attorney. I have a question for you.
Yes.
However, I will preface my question with saying that I am no part of the decision-making process. These three individuals are the ones that make the ultimate decision. I have no bearing. I am interested though. As they mentioned, that there are a couple of other people that are interested that they're interviewing, and maybe this question just got overlooked, but why are you interested in serving on this board?
Like I was talking about growth a second ago, to me, it's an opportunity for growth. It's something I've never done. It's something, to be honest, I've never considered until it was mentioned to me. I thought, that sounds like something that's really interesting, would be a really good opportunity to do. Get back to the citizens and kind of further ingrain myself in the county.
I mean, it wasn't the pay scales you're gonna make on the board.
No.
You know, they haven't had a raise in a long time, still zero.
Well, for EMS, I'm kind of used to that. So.
There is something to be said though about public service. And so I appreciate that. That's a noble thing to do.
Enjoy helping people. That's, again, it's a gift, we're given to be able to help people.
Right. I agree. Anybody else have anything?
I'm good.
Mike, I appreciate your time. I know it's difficult to come out. Everybody's busy.
Handshakes are appropriate.
Actually,
I'm double vaccinated, gentlemen, so you're
We
perfectly
are.
safe. I've got all my shots.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for leading me in, man.
You're welcome. You want me to go get Robert?
Huh?
Robert's here, you want me to go get him?
I'll be there.
Yeah, he's in my office, that's where we're
Yeah. Good, rolling.
Just pick a seat.
Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, sir. How are you, Your Honor?
Thank you, sir.
The pull away from you.
All right, now we have Robert Owsley. Robert, you know, everybody here in group or sales or new assistant state's attorney. We haven't met yet. And, I think you know everybody else that's here. So once again, I've let Tim lead off. Tim is on the 911 board, so Tim.
Okay. Like I mentioned on the phone when I talked to you, Robert, this is just a very informal process we're going through. We've had a couple of folks that have shown interest in serving on this board. And so in the interest of keeping it fair, we've asked them to come by and just meet us. It's an informal thing. We're just going to ask you a few questions about what you've done and what your ideas are for this board. And I guess I can start. As you know, you would be appointed as a Williamson County appointee to the board.
Yes, sir.
Which would mean that your interest would be to represent the county, not an individual town or city. Is that something that you could do?
Oh, yes, yes, sir. I have no problem with that. Because you're not there to benefit one agency or one independent, you're there to benefit the county as a whole. And that's what you're there for, that's what that board's to do. Be fiscally responsible as well as to benefit the county as a whole, not any individual city or individual agency.
Right, and Marion has its representatives and Heron has its representatives. And so we're going to look out for the benefit of the rest of the county. Could you tell us about your experiences in emergency services?
I started out in EMS as a medic, a paramedic. I did that for several years. I worked for the city of Heron back years ago. Anybody remembers when the city of Heron actually owned the ambulance service? I started back then. I did that for a while. I worked for several different animal services throughout the county because, of course, back then they didn't pay a lot, so you worked multiple agencies. I got hired by the Heron Police Department back in '94 by Tom Pendon. Worked there as a communications officer for a while. I worked there until '96, and then Dennis Presley asked me if I wanted to work at the Sheriff's Department. I've been at the Sheriff's Department ever since then, so I've been at the Sheriff's Department for 25 years. During that time, I've also worked for Williamson County Fire, got my fire certification, did that for a while as a fireman. Left there and went to Heron Fire as a paid on-call fireman. In the meantime, in that process, I also worked as a patrolman part-time in Johnson City. Did that for a couple of years. Life goes on, you have kids, that kind of stuff, you realize I gotta slow down a little bit, I can't work every day. So I did that, I'm down to where I'm just working at the sheriff department right now. Like I said, I worked part-time at Herron Police Department for a long time, up until a couple of years ago, just as a, whatever they need somebody. So I make that joke of basically, if it's got lights and sirens, I drove it. I went from ambulances to fire trucks to the police cars. So I've got a few years' experience as far as the emergency service goes. I've been to the NENA conferences and the 911 conferences and all that, trying to keep myself up the best I can on 911. And back when Ken Smith was there, a lot of times Ken would call me and go, okay, somebody said this isn't working. Give me a minute, Ken. Let me run in there to see what's going on. So Ken always knew if I called him, if something was wrong, he needed to come in. So I've tried to keep up on the technology, that kind of stuff. So that's why I think I would have a little bit of a benefit to the board of been there. I hate to say been there, done that, because I always make it my goal to learn something new every day. So you're constantly learning something new, but got a little bit of experience in emergency services.
So that kind of goes in with the other question I was going to ask you was, why do you want to be on that board?
I think I can make a benefit to the board and be there to help them the best I can to make it a good board to help the county. And I've been on other boards and organizations like Mary Youth Baseball and Softball. I was actually served on that board for about 6 years. I'm still on the board just as a board member, kind of slowly graduating out of that. I was the president there for a while. I've been in the FOP for a long time. So I mean, as far as the financial aspect of it, I understand that part and the way a board meeting works, the rule of order, and you're there to be fiscally responsible about the money. I mean, so I do understand that aspect of it as well.
So you would understand the financial and legal documents?
Yes, financial legal parts of documentations, yeah. You can't just go do it and it's not one of those just because I said it kind of thing.
Are you currently serving on any boards right now?
Right now, I'm still on Mary Youth Baseball and Softball Association. I'm still on their board. I'm just as a board member. I'm slowly, gradually handing off responsibilities to other people on the board to get away from that board, just because I was hoping to be on the board. I don't want to put too much stuff on one plate. I'm on the Fraternal Order of Police. I'm on their executive board for the local lodge. But I mean, that's not a big drain on, time and that kind of thing with that board. Other than that, no, I'm not currently on any other boards.
So you know, what's that?
They asked me to be on the village council at Explorer County, but we'll see what happens with that.
Is that where you live, Florida?
Yeah, I live in Explorer County.
Are they still active in Spilltown?
They have us on the village council, yeah.
Yeah, well, good for them, that's terrific.
They're trying.
So, you're interviewing for an unexpired term of Scott McKay. And it was because he resigned from the board. Normal terms are 3 years. Would that fit in your schedule? Do you see yourself serving a full term?
Yeah, I can serve a full term. So. I don't plan on going anywhere soon. I mean, I've been in this county since 1993. I think I moved here. And of course, we've got a home here and we're not going anywhere. I'm here till I retire at least. And I still got a few more years before I do that.
Okay. And one of the other questions was if you were nominated to this board, apparently there were state level meetings. Once again, I'm new to this board, so I haven't seen that yet. But apparently there are state level meetings. If you were nominated to go to those meetings, would that be something that you could do?
Oh, yes. My children are both older, so it's not an aspect of, a child care issue or anything like that. I mean, I've got one 17 and getting ready to graduate high school and one that's 14, so.
Would you abstain from any vote if there was an appearance of conflict?
Oh, yeah, by all means. If it's something that's where it's going to involve my current employer, which is the sheriff department, yeah, I would have to abstain from that. Because it wouldn't be right for me to make a vote on that. It's going to directly impact the sheriff department. Now, if it impacted the county as a whole, like as a Williamson County government, it would depend on the circumstance. I mean, if it's something that I feel that, that I think that the county would benefit from or the county doesn't need, now, by all means, I mean, I'm going to consult with you guys if depending on what that situation may be, I'm gonna say, hey, what do you guys think as a board? Because you guys are the government entity of the county. I mean, there's a hierarchy to every board. Does that make sense?
Well, that was the reason why I asked you that first question. Because my interests are gonna be to oversee what the county's best interests are, as it relates to this board. And then, you know, DJ Stewart,
Yes, I know, DJ, we've known each other for years.
one of the questions he had, he wanted me to ask was, what are your hobbies and do you volunteer anywhere? You do the Marion Youth Board.
I do Marion Youth Baseball and Softball, of course, the FOP. I do a lot with the Masonic Lodge. I volunteer a lot there. As far as hobbies, I do a lot of artwork stuff, and I do a lot of stuff for a lot of fraternal organizations, like the FOP. I'm doing some banners right now for them. I do. As far as creating those banners, I got a dropship company that I use that does really cheap, like, this isn't recorded.
Yeah.
We understand.
We understand.
That does stuff cheap, so a lot of times I'll do the, hey, you guys pay for the banner and I'll do it for free. So that's a lot of the time
So you enjoy the artwork part of it?
I enjoy doing that. I do a lot of IT stuff. Work at the sheriff's office.
You still flying the drone thing?
Sometimes, yeah. I was doing that for my wife, but I'm not doing that anymore for her. She found somebody to do it just as cheap, so I still do it for the county.
She probably likes them better anyway, I'm
Yes.
sure.
The reason I asked if we were recording, I was gonna say a price, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang up on that. Do you have any questions for us? Anything you'd like to ask us?
I guess the biggest thing was, what do you guys want of the board? What's your desire for the board? You guys are the governing body, Williams County, and I guess it would be just to make sure everything's fair.
Yeah, that's it. And when it comes to this board, I'd like to see equal fair service across the county
Oh, yeah.
and as quick response time as we can possibly get. That's what my desire is, serving on this board.
I know that, I don't know what, I've never been 911 board meeting, I don't think, maybe once in my life.
I've been to several of them.
But, there's been some issues in the past, of course. But we don't need to go back that direction, that's for sure. And so Tim's on the board, I don't even know how many members there are. But the chairman makes the final decision on who brings forth to the board, so I don't really know. Just, we've had 3 candidates, you're number 3, and everybody's done very well, so.
There's 9 people on the board.
Is there 9?
More
That's
people.
right.
It's a crowded boardroom, it really is.
Yeah. And
I think it's
the term that you're interested in expires, to be Scott McCabe's, and then I believe you said it was January 1 of 22. So it's just basically the rest of this year. Yeah. So
And then at that point, what, then it comes up for another,
comes up for renewal.
Yeah, for another 3-year term, I suppose.
Yeah.
that another interview process, or is that just a
Yes.
rolling?
These
I
are,
don't, unless we have a new open spot.
they're staggered 3 years. Yeah. So, anyway.
You guys have any questions of me that you're wondering about or something that
You,
you've not
you,
asked?
you do, what is it that you do for the sheriff's department again?
I'm lieutenant in charge of communications,
Okay,
and I do a lot of IT stuff.
that IT stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, thankfully, my watch was working because I was downstairs and went, oh, I forgot all about that meeting. Because I was downstairs.
I'm glad you're early.
Yeah, well, I was downstairs in the jail. We're trying to get the ID network stuff up and going. We're working on my new fingerprint machine.
I was just about ready to say we're early, what we call him, he's going over there, so.
Well, and it's my fault, I should have scheduled everybody for 15 minutes. I give everybody 30 minutes, so we could have been out here faster.
Well, I got here, it was about 11:35. I walked in like, oh, I'm early.
Well,
Or 10:35, I walked in.
So Andrew has a question?
we have a hand?
Pleasure to meet you, sir. I'm new here, obviously, as was mentioned by the chairman. And I'll qualify before I give you my question that I am no part of the decision-making process for this. The purpose of my question is just to try to maybe elicit a little bit more information. You said something, and not to give you a peek into a window of what anyone is thinking or what was said in the 2 interviews before you, but you are the only person that's mentioned fiscal responsibility in relation to the board. I was just curious if you could maybe expand upon that a little bit. Obviously, we know there's always a tug of war between we want the ultimate best service, best fire trucks, best ambulance, best for a sheriff's department, everything we can, but we know there's a price tag that's associated with that. And typically there's a balance that has to be weighed. Could you expand on your personal philosophy regarding kind of that balance and where you would see yourself in making those decisions?
Well, you have to have a fiscal responsibility because that board is there because the taxpayers want the best they can for the best they can for the money that there is. And there's not always the money to have the best of this, the best of that. I mean, you guys have seen, I've been in budget meetings, that kind of stuff. So you know, sometimes the money's just not there. And that's like, we've had guys that have said, for instance, well, we need this or we need that. And I'm like, guys, I've been in that meeting. You say the sheriff needs to buy this, the money's not there to buy it.
Press one.
And they say, well, why not? Because it's just not, there's not enough money. So you're fiscally responsible. And what I mean by that is, okay, you need equipment. We can buy this fire truck, well, we can buy this squad car that's brand new, or we can buy this squad car from Kansas City and get it for a lot less, and it's still gonna cover that need that we need.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Good.
Robert, I want to thank you for coming in today. I know it's difficult to get away, and we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Head back to jail.
Thank you.
Shake your hand.
Appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
Robert.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you guys open this up for discussion. I can wait just a minute.
For the whole.
If you want, we can take just a few minute break, come back and discuss. You want to do that?
Yeah, let's think about
Maybe we'll take a break, just
Take
a
a short break.
short break, 5 minutes.
Oh. That was a good question, Andrew. Not at all interrogation.
I don't know how to pause it. There's no pause button. That we can pause. You know, pause it. Just hit stop or play and it'll pause. Just hit play. Yeah, and it'll pause it. No, that's what Stephanie said to do.
You told me to hit play. Play.
What we had, what our responsibility was.
Well, we had to stop and put it in for recording. It's no big deal. She said we have like, I don't know how to pause it.
So that you know what's going to be there. If there's anything legal that he knows, he needs to know that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the specifics of the issue, I guess, we'll do it like that.
All right, we're back after a short break. Motion was made, well, not a motion, we had discussion was that we would go ahead and make our appointment now, so, I guess, Tim, what would you think? What would you like to do?
I do want to think we had three really very qualified candidates. And I think the 911 board would be lucky to have any one of them. It's a shame we don't have three openings to fill. But if would you like me to make a nomination for somebody?
Give me your pick.
I would nominate, Mr. Sheridan, Jason Sheridan. He gives us a Carterville angle over there that I think Mayor of Carterville would like. Even though he's a county representative and was asked if he would represent the county and his overall actions on the board, I think that might be the best. That would be my suggestion.
Right.
I think the Sheridan boy was calm and cool, and his answers were solid and detailed, more than the others. I think the second one a little nervous and short in his answers. Robert's been around a long time. I'm not sure how to play out. I think it was a no-brainer.
You think Jason also?
Absolutely. He stood out.
You made a nomination.
Well, I
Are you
don't know what.
nominating or you're?
He's not- he
We're
actually-
just trying to get our ideas right.
Well, he said I nominate. That's why I just want to make sure that we're just in
He has,
discussion, right?
yeah, he has to bring names.
I think Jim has to bring the nomination, so,
Okay.
yeah, let's make it clear, I did not nominate Jason,
Okay, I
I
just want
would-
to make
I would
sure. I didn't want
endorse.
to- Okay.
I would endorse Jason
Okay.
for this.
And I guess like, as far as I'm concerned, that I think all three did good. I think Jason has a good community awareness, works in the community a lot. I think Robert Owsley has good experience being in the sheriff's department. He's aware of a lot of what's going on with EMS, emergency services. Mike Willis, I think he'd be an excellent candidate as well. Worked as an EMT, teaches at Red Lake. But I think overall, I think I have to go with Jason as well. And so if that's okay with you guys, I'll make a motion. We appoint Jason Sheridan to the 911 board.
I'll second
For
that.
the remainder of the term.
Jim Marlowe,
Okay.
Bridge Gentry,
Yeah.
Tim Atkinson.
Good job, man. Excellent. Like I said,
You know,
it's a shame we didn't have three seats, because any one of these guys would have been.
I cannot believe I have never seen this guy before in my life, but I mean, I was there 15 years, but that was back from 1980 to 1995. Matter of fact, I saw a flight there tonight, and, so, they cover a big territory. It's 148 spillway.
That's a lot of ground.
You know, I think Jim was here on this deal. I had a absolute high-speed demo part at one time, Lake Beach. Okay, you know where Haven is around 13?
Yeah.
The veterans field?
Yeah.
The guy that had a cardiac arrest out there, and they called the ambulance when they dispatched Lake Beach because they say that it's contiguous because Lake Beach coming across federal property in the water, that would be the territory. It took them 37 minutes.
Yeah.
If Carterville wouldn't have rolled to get there, the man would not have lived. And the lady told me it was so irate. I understand, and I don't know sure that that's changed now. That is not their territory now, the fact Carterville. You get into a lot of ego type situations and territorial fights.
There's a lot
And
of
it's not about the life, it's more important than territorial fight.
It's about getting that response time under 10 minutes.
We rolled out like then in 6 minutes, the worst that. So that's, you hear them, don't you?
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, there's actually two of them back to back came in here arguing, or really upset.
You know, the Haven, I think the Haven is for veterans.
Oh, yeah, so you're out there, people in wheelchairs, stuff like that, absolutely.
You know, so there is potential for
What
more.
do they do out there? Is it just like a senior citizen kind of thing? or
I think it's a recreational,
They can go play cards, they can go fish, dock, they got, people on handicapped go out there,
Just,
just, stuff, dock.
Get together with your peers?
I'll never forget, we
You
got a
can rent
call.
it for meetings too.
What?
You can rent it for meetings.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll never forget the call, they said, we have an issue out here at the Haven, and, we have a deer in the building. And so we got out there, and this deer was staring at the window, and so, boom, blood everywhere, and we chased that deer around and chased that deer, and finally, one of our biggest guys tackled the deer, got by the feet, and finally, it took like 30 minutes to get that deer out of the building, he'd jump over everything, and his blood scattered, it wasn't funny, but it is now, but it is. I'll never
Been
forget
a
that.
bad intersection too, and I think,
Oh.
you're gonna find out, I believe, according to IDOT, they're going to make that intersection like the one at the airport.
just like the one at the airport.
Yeah,
Anytime you have to come out and have to make a turn one way or the other is a recipe for disaster.
but now what they didn't say was, now at the airport, they have, I forgot the term that they use for that intersection. But at
That's
the
right.
airport, they have a stoplight, so that when someone pulls up, that's the only time it changes. And then they can merge going east.
Right, the eastbound traffic never stops.
Right.
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 The
The
eastbound.
westbound,
westbound
they
traffic
may
has to
have a
stop.
light right there, and that would only go red whenever
That's-
somebody pulls up from Cambria,
Right.
to allow them to cross, just kind of like at the airport. And,
I believe that was registered as one of the highest accident intersections in the county.
well, it wasn't that long ago, remember that one lady had a heart attack and flew right through it and ended up in the lake. So sure.
So did one of
Right
my,
across.
one of my classmates ended up, he had a Pinto, and he ended up in there in the lake too as well.
Yeah.
I think he had been, a little too much on
You're gonna watch those Pintos.
the elbow exercises that night, but
But I got some big plans for that whole area. There, it's gonna be 6 lane all the way, I think, at least to Carbondale. Probably eventually be 6 lanes to Murfreesboro. But, they're putting that bike route in, they're gonna redo the overpass, they're doing 6 lanes of Interstate 57 all the way down to, I don't know, just where it goes down to cross the river.
Mhm.
Anyway, they're gonna be doing a lot of work. That bike path, that's gonna go through the refuge. Gonna be able to go across, route, or the Crab Orchard Lake. There'll be a bike lane over the, westbound bridge, a separate bike lane. So they're gonna be
Well, work.
doing a lot of work out there in the coming years. So. Anyway, so you'll be able to ride your bike from here to Carbondale.
oh, I can't wait. I'm gonna tricycle, I'll ride.
Did you want to get these, water board equipment?
Little
Right, you wanna,
little three-wheelers.
you wanna go ahead, let's go ahead and get these water board appointments out of the way.
Well, I have a question on this. I find this interesting. I want to go back, I just want to wrap my head around this, make sure I understand it all. But we'll go back a few years ago. Jim, you had mentioned to Ron and I that you want to interview the water board candidates. We replied that we weren't interested. They just soon take the board's, nomination that they put forth that we have for years. They didn't want to micromanage the board. I believe you interviewed a couple people on your own, for the water boards. If you do it,
15 minutes. You turn off it.
so, I mean, that was a big push you had back then, and so you got water board people coming up now, no interview. So what was the push for it back then if it doesn't matter now?
Well, back then, number one, I was new to the board. Number two, I don't think I interviewed them privately. We had some people come in with, at one of our board meetings, we were in the little boardroom. The main idea was, at the time, was I would know these people if I met them on the street, and yet I'm appointing them to the board. And so that's why I just like to meet them. I didn't think that was asking too much. You might have known these people, and
No.
Ron might have known these people.
No, no.
Okay, well, then why, with you being here the longest, why wouldn't you have asked these people to come in? So you're saying you appointed people that you didn't know? at the time.
Because we never intermingle with the boards. It's not,
So,
it's not, it's
But
not-
asking for them to come in just to see who they are, that's not micromanaging any board decision. That's just introducing themselves.
but we
to
don't want to
me.
interview these people, but we're going to interview for Public Building Commission. So why just Public Building Commission?
Well, I don't have a problem if you want to call these people in.
I'm just asking a simple question. I mean, I know of these people.
Mhm.
They've been very good board members, just as the PBC's had very good board members. When we talked about the PBC, I think, back in March, past March, I asked the question before. I didn't really get a really good response. I talked to Stephanie about putting the appointment for the Public Building Commission on the March agenda, and I was calling in for that meeting, and when I got the fact that it wasn't on there, but she said it was, but then it was taken off. Why was it taken off?
Because I didn't want to have the appointment on there at the time.
I did,
Okay.
and I have the right to put it on there.
I've got the right to take it off. I don't want. So bottom line is, I think the Public Building Commission, this is what you're getting after. I think it's time to change that board up a little.
Okay, good point. The words you said are change it up or shake it up.
Change it up.
Okay, fine. July of 20, we put on Rick Reichert
That's a Marion.
and Jeff Green. We put a 8/20, we put them on him as well. So there was 2 new members back then. There wasn't an interview process for them. So what's changed between then and now on these interview processes that you both said you want to do interview process? So,
Rick Reichert, number one, is this appointment from the city of Marion. We have no
but you
authority on
you
that.
wouldn't want to know him? I mean, like, you want to
I know
know
Rick
people?
Reichert. And Jeff Green, I know Jeff Green. I think he was a very good selection for that board.
So you weren't interested in talking to them back then?
I'm fine with it. If you wanted, you had every right to
I
set up a
didn't.
meeting.
I didn't want to.
Talk to them as well. At the time that with the other board appointments, like I said, I didn't know those people. I just like to have them come in and just talk to me, introduce themselves, because I wouldn't know if I passed them on the sidewalk. And I don't think that's a problem. We're appointing these board members, and if there's any issues with any board, it goes back to, well, who appointed these board members? Well, it's the county board that does it. So I think if I'm appointing someone that I don't know, I'd like to meet them. I don't think that's out of line. You? Appointing someone that you don't know?
I think a lot of things out on this whole thing, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, I just want
So
to
why
make
answer
sure.
the question?
What?
Do you think it's out of line?
I think trying to interview them like you want us to do with you is out of line. I think that we have never done that before. If the board doesn't know who they want, that is best fit for that board, how in God's earth are we gonna know, when we don't even go to their meetings, who is the best? You don't know, I don't know, Ron didn't know. So the board should know, or the mayor should know. But now things change, and it's happened in the last 6 months, and there's gotta be a reason why it happened, and you haven't
The
answered
mayor?
that question.
Well, you didn't answer mine.
I just told you, I don't think it's right, no.
So you're fine with appointing people that
Absolutely.
you don't know?
Absolutely. If that's what the board wants, if everything's run smoothly for years, I don't know why I rock the boat now.
Well,
Absolutely.
number one, you have to understand, maybe you don't want to understand, but that the board appointments don't belong to those board members. The board appointments belong to the county, but since we appoint to that board. They're not lifetime appointments. They don't own that position. And I think at any time, this county board has the ability to change it at any time, for any reason.
No, I understand, and I understand a lot. So if there's wrongdoing going on, absolutely. If there's not, we don't have any business putting our nose in the middle of this stuff. So, no, I understand a lot going on. So, but I just saw these board appointments come up here today, and I thought, this is kind of odd. I go, you want to do all this 2 or 3 years ago, but now just let them go, which I have no problem. I'll vote for both of them, because they seem like good people. Because I trust the board's decision, that they've been good members, or the board wouldn't reappoint them. That's for reappointment.
What did you do with the board members on the housing authority that you
Yeah.
released?
Taking money out, wait, HUD ruled exactly
Did
what
you
we said.
change the board?
For stealing, investing money, absolutely.
Okay, but you
Have
changed-
anybody invested money?
But the point is, you had the option to change the.
When there's wrongdoing, yes. Other than that, we let it go. I'd be more than happy to let you read the HUD report, what happened on it. You probably need to read it, and then you understand what wrongdoing really is, but there's no wrongdoing.
I've
on
never
these boards.
said there's wrongdoing on any board.
Then,
But when it comes to the audit report, because they are a component unit of county government, yes, we do need to look at that board and make sure everything is done on time.
but the component unit words just started happening in the last months.
No.
That was the has.
No,
And they've always been considered as our former state's attorney said, assistant state's attorney said, they've always been considered, their own entity, they have their own line items, they have their own levy, their own tax bill as their own. So yeah, they have been for years, it just happened here recently, and, they had several audits that were behind, they chose to go a different route. That's none of our business what to do on that, none of mine for sure, I don't care. And so, it's just, when you have a board that's doing everything possible they can do for this complex here, and they come such a long way and have money in the bank, what more could a county board want out of a board?
Well, number one, they should never have been on the tax line. They're.
So it's been wrong all these years?
It should.
That's
never
not the
have been
opinion
on
of the
there.
assistant state's attorney before, and we have to call her, that's not what it was, so.
They are on, the county budget. And the money that they show that they receive on the county line is exactly what they get from the county levy. So it's like, for example, if Pike County had their line on there as well on the tax bill, and it showed how much they get, well, that's because they're in our county levy. And so the same thing with the PBC.
So everybody out there, library boards, the health department, they are a component unit of our government because they are what?
They're not a component unit because the PBC, their sole purpose is to work for the county government. They do not survive without county. Now, the library board, yes, they can survive without the county government. The PBC, they only have one renter. That's the county government, the county board. They get their money from nowhere else, just us.
Well, the PPC doesn't have to be in existence at all.
I think they have to be
If they pay those, if they don't pay
there
the
are
bonds off,
If there are bonds involved,
but they pay them off, they just walk
then they
away.
can be dissolved, but that's not the case as of right now.
That's what's right down there.
So that's why, and we are their only tenant. They get, only money they get is from us to take care of everything. Without us, they don't get their money. That's why they're a component unit of county government. If, all the other boards, they get their money from the state or wherever, certain taxes, that are embedded taxes, they receive money from the state and elsewhere. But the PBC, that's why they're listed as a component unit.
So the two PDC people coming up, what's your goal on this? Why, you want to place two of them? What's your final end goal on this? What are you looking for?
I'm just wanting to get some fresh eyes and fresh blood in there.
What have you done wrong?
Well, if you look at why the audits were late all the time from the PBC.
Two sides of the story, so it's not just one. Okay. Two
But
sides
I've
of the
got all
story.
the emails to back this up, and you've got the emails to back this up as well, you just don't want to look at it.
Oh, I got a lot of emails.
But anyway, so that's all, that's my side.
I got emails from one side, but I got the other side too.
Okay, that's good.
So, you know,
But, so here's the bottom line though. This is a board, county board, made up of 3 people, okay? Everybody on this county board is entitled to their own line of thinking, their own way that they want to roll. And everything that we do is a county board vote. So, everybody has a say-so in it. So, everybody has a chance to speak concerning this.
concerning the reapportionments or the appointments. I know how you feel. You know how I feel. You know, I do want to clarify one thing on, that you brought up, on the reappointments. When it comes to elected officials, yes, we always go with what the chairman of the party wants to put in. We've done it with, we did it with Brandon, we did it with Brinson.
Correct.
We did it with Ashley, we did it with, Amanda, and so
I
on.
don't believe I recall that ever going against that.
But-
That's correct.
But when it comes to other boards, we have the option to either take the chairman's recommendation or not. We don't have to.
Well, you're gonna get it, but you're gonna get 2 votes regardless. So what is wrong with the boards, the way they were is, I mean, you haven't shown anything that's being wrong with boards. It's just your opinion or several of your opinions. And so, I just find it odd that July and August, and they're good people, appointed PBC, not a word said about even saying boo to them. In the last 6 months, something's gone south. And, now all of a sudden it's a big deal. And I saw Mr. Shue come here yesterday. I'm sure he was quite happy when he came down to see you. I don't know what he said, but I bet he would say one thing, what did I do wrong, which is entitled to, and if he did say something like that, I'd like to know what he did wrong.
You didn't do anything wrong. Nobody's done anything wrong, but what is taking place is the lack of making sure that the audits are brought to the attention of your auditor on time so that it can be filed in a timely manner with our audit. That's
I
the only
think-
thing wrong, and that's where I think, well, maybe a fresh set of eyes might.
Well, I think when there's a
do that.
change of auditors, the 2 auditors, I'm not auditor, but I think the way the rule of thumb is, if I'm correct here, is that they have to talk and they have to do like a transfer of powers of information they got. I have no idea if that was done or not done. I think, Drew pointed out that day in the meeting, what he called, I think, the red button or green button or something, whatever you said, pushing the red button. Did you give a date to the PBC to get all their financial information to them before the red button was pushed? There was silence. I think it may have been something like you told him to push the button. I don't know that I buy that, but whatever.
At this point, gentlemen, I would provide some legal advice to this board. I think the conversation should be steered back toward the water board appointments. The reason for that is that's the item that's on the agenda. This is a public meeting. If we wanted to discuss the PBC, we should have put that on the agenda, and potentially some individuals from the public would have liked the opportunity to
Well,
attend
the PBC is on the agenda today.
for this afternoon, not for the morning.
Well, I don't want to talk
session.
about what the PBC members in here.
My recommendation to the board would be to steer the conversation back toward the appointments to the water
We'll
board.
continue on something in there with it. That's fine. So,
Well, the next appointment comes up at 1 o'clock, so if you guys want to break for lunch, we can
are you gonna do what?
recess.
You gonna do the water board?
Let's do the
Oh,
water
yes, I
boards
forgot.
first.
Hold on. Okay, back to the water. Okay. Corinth Water Board is first. We have a request from,
For 15 minutes. You turn off it and think.
we have a request from James Curley, Chairman of the Corinth Water District, to reappoint Norm Rogers. His term expires April of 2021. So let's see, that is a 5-year term, set to expire April 30th of 2026. I make a motion, or I make a motion that we reappoint Norm Rogers.
Resolution number on that.
Oh. Resolution number 21-04-21-35.
Second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Bert Gentry.
Yay.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah,
Second one is, David Frick. Um, David Frick's term is about to expire, so, we have, a letter here from the president of the Fergus Water District, from James Crane, that he'd like to reappoint David Frick as trustee with his term, his term is set to expire on May 1st of 2021. He's wanting to appoint David Frick to another 5-year term. So it'd be until, April 30th of,
This is May the 1st, 2026.
2026.
that probably actually be April 1st. Would be the last day for his term. Would that be correct? I mean,
This looks like this came from the water district, maybe it's not in our font.
It's not in the-
So you want that one retyped and put April 30th, or do we?
I
all
just
the
want to
district
make
first?
sure that that reads right is all,
We could,
because that'd be a year and a day, wouldn't
It'll be
it? Or
five.
however it reads to full one.
we'll check on that and get the correct
We
wording
would
on
pass this.
Yeah, we
it.
can
We've got the resolution number.
On contingent that, we get the date for it on
Okay.
it. Resolution number 21-04-21-36.
Second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Bert Gentry.
Yay.
Tim Atkinson.
Okay, anybody else have anything they want to say before we break for lunch?
It's adjourned until 1 o'clock.
That's your motion.
That's my motion.
Second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Bert Gentry.
Yay.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.